Yes. Ooh, look at this. What do we have here? I see you.
I
see
think
all
a lot
you.
of people having a great time. That's what I see.
So I know many of you have traveled from all over the world, country, driven in, saved, done a tremendous amount of labor and sacrifice to make it here with us today. So for that, we thank you. And we thank you because you really, really had to pull some strings to make it happen to be here today. This almost didn't happen, folks. She is really, truly here because of her commitment and her desire to be here with you today. So for that, Priyanka, welcome to Beautycon.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
This is a absolute bucket list dream come true for me.
Oh, you're too kind.
I admire you so very much. You're very, very lovely.
Thanks so much. Thanks, girl.
Okay, so who's hyped? You guys ready? Energy. Okay. Ooh, look at my parents sitting right there. They're all excited. Okay. Priyanka, you are a global icon. You have a career spanning over 20 years, multiple continents, multiple industries. You have over 100 million followers, authentic followers, I will also say, real followers, global followers, and people all over the world look to you for inspiration. You're the first South Asian woman to be a star of a US TV network, right? But after our conversation the other day, I realized I think America is just getting to know you. So the question for everyone who's here is, who is Priyanka? Who are you?
I think I'm kind of trying to figure that out myself. And I think it's okay not to know. We spend our entire lives trying to figure out who we really are, and then we change. And then we figure it out, and then we change again. And I think that's the most constant, right? I'm constantly changing, constantly evolving, and I'm hoping that everyone's still curious about me as I keep doing that. So
We're all very curious. I think we're all very curious. And I think kudos to you for taking on, I think one of the scariest things for me is the moment you stop growing and changing and evolving and ingesting information, I feel like life is really no longer worth really, what are you doing at that point? So congrats to you for expanding and coming here. So we're excited to have you. I meet and work with a lot of very high profile people in entertainment and beauty. And one of the things I notice is the lack of female leadership in the executive chair, in the executive seat, in the chairman, the board. And the reason I really, really was intrigued about you was that I met you through your manager, Anjula, who is a powerhouse. And I was wondering, you surround yourself with women, you invest in women, you are expanding your portfolio in female-founded companies. Tell me, you mentioned something the other day that when women are pitted against each other in any industry, that everyone loses. And so that's such a wise and evolved way to think about things. Tell me how you've come to realize that at such a young age.
Well, a couple of things. I have a hypothesis. So I feel like I've had so many times whenever I'm doing interviews, people always ask me that, oh, you're doing a movie with, a female co-actor. Did you guys get along? Were there catfights? But when it comes to boys, they say, oh my gosh, that looks like a bromance and everyone got on so well. So I feel like over time, because women had the lack of opportunity, we were pitted against each other because there were only like 5 opportunities, like 5 places a woman could be hired. And so we were elbowing each other out to get to that one spot. So the crux of the problem is the lack of opportunity for females. And the more opportunity we create for each other, the more sisterhood will grow. We're 50% of the world's population.
That's right.
We need to be represented in every field like that. We need to be empowered by each other, by the people who are in positions of power, by putting us in positions of power. So I realized many, many years ago that the more I champion women in my own small way, maybe I'll be able to create a world around me at least where, women run the show because we kind of do it really well. We just aren't given the opportunity enough.
Yes. Good. It seems like everyone agrees.
I'm glad you guys agree. I like a feminist crowd, male and female. Because you know what feminism is?
Tell us.
Feminism is when you fight for the equality of everyone, not just women.
I agree. I think that, no, that doesn't get a little bit of a clap. That's everyone. No. That's including animals. That's including everything,
Everyone.
right? It's doing right. And I think that what the feminine energy in business brings to the conversation is we do have an innate ability to make, I think, really amazing choices if given the opportunity. And so that is so much about what Beautycon is about, because this industry is on its way to becoming a $700 billion industry worldwide. This is huge. Wow. The economic power in this room is massive. And so the inspiration for us was when you take active, engaged consumers who are a lot of women and people of color and minorities and different ethnicities, and you provide education and optionality, I think what Beautycon is really focused on is the merging between economic consumption of product and consumer goods, but the discipline of meaning and cause and leaving sort of a legacy behind that we're not going to be ashamed of, right? And so I know we share that same DNA. Women are statistically, based on the data, working twice as hard as their counterparts to earn the same dollar. And this is an issue for me that everyone knows I'm very passionate about. And women of color are working 3 times as hard. Why is it that you think we're held to such higher standards? And what are those standards we're held to?
So every generation of women somehow has to fight for the right of empowerment for the next generation of women. How many of you drive? Do you remember there was a time when women couldn't? Today, we don't even think about it because those women fought for us. So how many of us vote as females?
Put your hands up.
There was a time we couldn't. Now we don't even think about it. So we, as women, everyone in this room and everyone in this world has a responsibility to our future daughter, to our future granddaughter, to change the world in a way where they don't have to think about lack of opportunity. They don't have to think about diversity. Diversity shouldn't even be a conversation. It should be normal. When we look around this room, there's not one kind of person. I don't even see one kind of person in one row. And that's our normal. And that's the world we will create for our daughters, for our kids. We will create men that empower the girls around them. We will create men that respect the girls around them and create a legacy for their children going forward. And I think that's our responsibility, and we need to take that really, really seriously.
We do. And I think, yes.
Thank you.
So, you got married recently.
Did.
I have a feeling there might be some...
A lot of people who like marriage, huh?
Yeah.
Or at least mine.
Yes. Well, you would have had to been hit by a truck last year. Like, I felt bad for everyone that had anything to launch that week. Because there was nothing in the news, both digital, media, traditional, and so there's some, I would imagine there's some Nick Jonas fans here. That's what I figured.
That's always good.
He's very cheeky.
He is a little bit in every way.
And it was huge, right? This was this huge wedding. It was very traditional. It was very beautiful. But it was a ritual of ceremony that was both Christian and Hindu. And I don't know that the worldwide press had ever seen that before. A 4-day ceremony, 2 receptions. I mean, it's just a massive, right, 3 days, 2 ceremonies, and 4 receptions.
5. I can't help it. If anyone, okay, if you are South Asian or if you know someone South Asian, you understand that our parents, thank you, you understand that when someone gets married, everyone in your life needs to be a part of it. Everyone from before, everyone from after.
And also everyone you've also never met.
Everyone you've never met. Not
That
even
they
me,
know.
but everyone my mom knows,
No,
my
no,
parents
exactly.
know.
It's like their friend from 50
Yeah.
years ago that they haven't
Everyone.
seen, but their cousins in town, like they're all coming.
So because I put a full stop on how many people were invited at our wedding, which was just 180, which is really, really small for an Indian wedding. My mom was just like, well, how am I gonna, well, the jeweler needs to arrive and my hairstylist. And like, so we had to do a couple of receptions for everyone else. And then when we came to America, my in-laws were like, well, we have friends too. So we had to do that as well. So it ended up being a few parties with like a whole bunch of people that I have known, little bit or a lot. But the wedding was spectacular. It was so special. It was 3 days. One was pre-rituals, which Indian weddings really have. We have an event called a Sangeet, which is like a rehearsal dinner, except you don't have a rehearsal or dinner. It's like a song and dance sort of competition between the two families.
We loved it. We all saw it.
It was so fun. The Joe and I were very, very good. Extremely talented. Kind of threw me off a little bit. And then we also have like henna ceremonies where all the girls get henna, and like it's all sort of prep for the bride, and it was super fun. And then we had the 2 weddings to respect both our religions.
And so, why was it so important to you to give the audience an opportunity to see an interfaith ceremony and marriage? Because, again, I think in a world with so much divisiveness, I thought it was brilliant that there was an example of actual equality and affection for each other's faiths, but why was that so important to both of you?
It was not something that we intended to do initially. We wanted to keep this really, really private, but because we had the wedding in India,
Well, it was not private.
it was not easy to do that.
Were there like choppers flying over?
Yeah, it was rough. So
Okay.
it wasn't really easy to do, like to keep it private. And then I just loved the kind of love and affection that we got when people were reading about the fact that this was going to happen. That we just thought that we were so happy and our families were so integrated, and it didn't matter what our religions were or which countries we came from. Everything just stood for love. That we eventually decided that it was important to sort of share that because we felt so full in our hearts.
It was a joy to watch, and we all felt like we were there.
I'm glad.
It was really fun. We just met, but anyone who knows me knows that I'm very, very passionate around the topic of financial literacy. I believe innately that women in general, and different audiences in general, are just educated around the topics of financial literacy. For example, women save versus men invest, right? And so one of the things that I love about you is that you are now investing in tech and yes. And your manager also has been like a prolific investor within the space. And so I know you've invested in Bumble, and now you've invested in a tech incubator that's supporting young women who are learning how to code. Why is that important to you?
I just love growing. Like I said, I think growing is a very important thing. And when I was very young, I started working when I was 17 years old. And I remember my mother telling me this really young, that women should be financially independent. It doesn't matter who your father is, doesn't matter who your husband is going to be, it doesn't matter who your brother is, it doesn't matter who the man in your life is. You need to be responsible for your finances and be financially independent. And that kind of really stuck with me. And as my career expanded, it was really important for me to invest in little things. So once I discovered tech, I have always been a fan of technology. I wanted to be an aeronautical engineer at one point. I wanted to build rockets. I wanted to, go to space. But then I became an actor. Go figure. And when I got the opportunity, I remember I was at a dinner for Bumble in New York, and I just thought it was such a cool thing to bring back to India, where women take the first move, to bring it to a country which has a patriarchal sort of society, which actually the world is. The world over is sort of patriarchal, and we as women need to fight to change that, to create that kind of equality, because no one's going to give it to us, and they're going to fight for us to have it. So it started from taking Bumble to India, and then my next investment is this engineering school, which is called Holberton, which was based on Betty Holberton. She was one of the first female engineers in the world. And this school is a peer-to-peer teaching program where you don't have to pay a tuition, and you can pay back your tuition after you graduate and get a job, so that you don't have to worry about, you know, how much schools cost, so that females can actually be a part of engineering. Just think about it this way. All of us consume tech, right? All of you have cell phones. Everyone has computers. We're always online. Digital is such a big part of our lives, but the people creating technology, it's so skewed because it's mostly men. And these are men who decide what we as women need. So we need females to come into engineering. As AI starts coming in, and it's going to be a big part of our lives, can you imagine the artificial intelligence that we are consuming being created by guys? And guys are going to decide what kind of things we like. So we need women to come in and realize that tech is a big part of who we are and who we're going to be and our future. So hence me investing in the engineering school. I really love female-driven companies, and I like to give them as much strength as I can with my platform, and that's a big quest of mine in life. Thank you.
How many of you, I'm curious, how many of you are interested or studying or thinking about studying science and math and STEM and engineering? Let me see your hands. Hands,
Well,
hands,
that's
hands.
good.
Hands.
That's the beginning. That's
need,
cool.
I
We
think
need you.
We need you. Because you're right, the bias around technology, and I think that's what's so unique about Bumble. The idea that there had never been a dating site that gave women the first move was wild. Like when I saw that for the first time, I was like, duh, like how did that not exist? And so I think we're really counting on this next generation to take this opportunity to heart so that we can start to see business influenced by our point of view.
And that'll take us finding our own confidence. Ladies, no one is going to give that to you. No one is going to tell you, here's an opportunity, go make something of yourself. You're going to do it for you. Because people are only going to try and take it away. And it's so important for us to be able to empower each other in everyday life. We don't have to conquer the world. You don't have to be the only person who reaches space. Like, you don't have to have crazy, wild ambitions. You just have to find your power and to say that, oh, I can do this too. I don't have to create like this crazy opportunity for me to thrive. You can thrive in anything you choose. Just have to find that confidence within yourself.
And how do you find that confidence?
By telling yourself that your flaws are fine. Each one of us is flawed. No one is perfect. None of us. We all have bad days. We're all gonna feel like shit sometimes. Sorry for my French. Feel like bad sometimes.
We're on the internet. We can say what we want.
Okay, great. But you're all gonna have bad days, and that's fine. We have this crazy standard, especially with the internet, where everything has to be perfect all the time, and we have to look perfect, we have to behave perfect, we have to say the right things. Everyone screws up, and that's all right. You laugh through it, don't take yourself too seriously, and make sure that you don't live for someone else's validation. It's your validation that you need.
That is a huge reason of why we continue to grow and expand every year. I think everyone knows who's been coming to this festival for years that every year it just continues to expand and grow because we find that the hunger for self-authorship, for women and people to self-author both the good things and the bad things about us. Really, we want those stories to come from ourselves versus the constant pushing of the media of what it should be. And I think that is really, I think the next generation of invention and business will come from a new generation of entrepreneurs that self-author.
You know that saying where they say beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder? Well, bullshit. It lies in your eyes.
That's what always say.
Who's beholding
when
you,
someone
man?
says that to me, I'm always
It's so crazy.
I think when someone, someone said that to me recently, and I said, you know who made up that saying?
A guy.
A guy. A guy said beauty is in the eyes of the beholder because it was always a guy. Because women, I think, just think about beauty through an entirely different lens. I mean, we can be quite harsh, but I think there's a different lens and a different context, and so yes.
But it's fine to like someone appreciating you. It's fine to have, a guy or a girl or whoever is in your life telling you that you're beautiful. I love it when I'm told I'm beautiful or I'm feeling myself. It's great to hear that.
Should we tell you? Okay, let's tell her.
And I'm saying it's fine. Don't let anyone tell you that that's not okay. That's fine too, but that's not what your validation should be. That's a bonus. Your validation should be the spring in your step when you walk out of the door because you feel good. And even if you don't, that's fine too.
And I think your achievements, right? It's about what you're up to in the world. Like for me, like whenever I feel like I've had the worst day ever, I always run through the list of what did I get done today? And generally, if I run through that list and I find that I did a bunch of things that I needed to get done, I generally am like, okay, well, I don't feel so great, but I got a lot done. And there's something about getting a lot done that for me makes me feel quite awesome.
That's cool. I should try that. I usually just sit with a tub of ice cream and sulk. I do that. I can't lie.
Are you a sweet tooth? Are you like sweet?
No, I only like ice cream.
Okay.
I actually don't like sweet. I'm more savory.
Same. I'm a savory.
Spicy and savory.
Spicy. Although my mother will tell you I just snack all the time. She's always smacking me, telling me she's right there.
I'm a snacker too, I have to say, especially at 2 a.m.
My mom's really excited. Do you see her? See, that's my mom.
I do. Hi.
Okay. Beauty has always been a big part of your life. I know that when we asked you to come, I know that you had a genuine interest in beauty. What does beauty mean to you? I feel like you've answered that, but I think your perspective is even more interesting because you are in a constant time zone. You are flying around the world. You see a lot of different cultures. Where do you think global beauty is now going? Where is it going?
I think travel and meeting different people of different ethnicities and different parts of the world is so important to expand our minds. Even if you just are interested in different countries or what kind of music people like to listen to or what are the stories or just being curious about different cultures instead of being scared of them. Like I think we're living in a world where we're so afraid of different that when something is different, we'd rather not be curious. We'd rather be like, all right, I don't want to offend someone or I don't want to say something wrong. Instead of being curious and saying, well, what is your name and where do you come from and what do you like? I would love to see beauty that's what inclusivity to me is. Not just seeing different races on a billboard, but actually getting to know different people, actually understanding what different people might be like. We've forgotten that eventually we're all human. It's this one little planet that we have, which in this big universe is really tiny. So we should stop giving ourselves so much importance and saying, oh, well, you're better than me or I'm better than you. We all are basically humanity. And let's go back to that and bring compassion and kindness into beauty and not be so hard on ourselves or other people. The standard of beauty that the world of entertainment actually has created is the culprit. And it's so beautiful to see the kind of inclusivity that we're seeing now. It has a long way to go. But I love the fact that there's a conversation around it and you see that difference.
And I think so much of that is about the content some new great content that's being created out there. I'm just curious for you, what are some of the new shows or content that you're watching that you're excited about that you think is moving the conversation forward?
Well, I haven't really been keeping up with my TV for a while. I have so much I need to watch. But I feel like when you watch television my favorite thing at night is when I come back home is I watch TV. Not like a show, but like real TV with commercials. Like I'll switch channels and I'll see oh yeah, there's SVU or I'll watch good old friends or whatever. But the beauty about watching television now and what television I used to watch like 10 years ago, that's where you see the diversity and that's where you see the difference, and that's really cool to see to me.